Welcome to the Court of Bookish Queens, a podcast where mother, daughter, and intruder dive headfirst into the world of romantasy, sharing our unfiltered thoughts, bold opinions, and theories so wild they might need legal representation.
I'm Juliet. I'm the daughter, romantasy addict, and CEO of Falling for Fictional Men.
I'm Helen, the mother, trained legal counsel, romantasy lover, and fully here for the drama.
And I'm Melissa, the intruder, uninvited romantasy novice, but oh, do I have opinions. So with that, listeners, adjust your crowns. And remember, in this court, chaos isn't just welcome, it's the dress code. So with that, court is now in session. Hello, and thank you for joining us on today's episode where we will be covering chapters 28 to 38 in House of Flame and Shadow, CC3. Before we dive into the episode, please listen carefully to our content warning. While we will be focusing our discussions on chapters 28 to 38 in Book 3, we will be bringing in themes, foreshadowing, and lore and other insights from across the series. So yes, these episodes are spoiler central for the whole of the Crescent series. These deep dives, however, do not have spoilers for the rest of Sarah J. Maas's series, except at the end of some episodes, which we will make sure to give you a spoiler warning beforehand. So, if you haven't read the entirety of the Maasverse, you can leave the episode when we give our spoiler warning, or you can keep listening for Throne of Glass and ACOTAR callouts. Last thing before we jump into the episode, if you're loving being part of the Court of Bookish Queens, if you're enjoying these deep dives, if you want more content, then please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, listen to us on Spotify, and give us a follow on TikTok and Instagram, or why not all of them?
Okay, so for our last CC3 episode, Hunt suffers a devastating loss of power, and Lidia learns disturbing news about the Harpy. And back in Midgard, Ithan strikes a deal with the Viper Queen, which leads to unexpected consequences. So our main topics for today are Bryce makes it back to Midgard, but is trapped with the Autumn King. Lidia helps Hunt, Ruhn, and Bakshin escape from the Eternal Palace, but Lidia sacrifices herself to get them to safety. And this all happens while Ruhn's cadre is waiting on the Depth Charger. And then we have a guilt-ridden Ithan, who enters House of Flame and Shadow to find Jesiba. And we finally learn a lot about Jesiba. It was a lot. So, let's begin with Bryce. She returns to Midgard, finds herself imprisoned with her father, who has his own motives for keeping her close. What do we now think of the Autumn King? Have we changed our thoughts at all?
Controversial.
I'm still really crossing my fingers, hoping that he will step up and be better. But she is being protected over there, so the Asteri can't see her yet because of his protection. So there's something positive there.
Yeah, this might be controversial, but I feel like at this point the listeners will be used to my controversial takes. Is he that bad?
Did he burn Ruhn? Your beloved Ruhn?
No, that is bad. No, I take that back. That is really bad.
It's not just the burning. His history is pretty bad. He's always been very self-centered in a way. He doesn't care about other people unless it serves his purposes. He not only burned Ruhn on a continuous basis, where he has all kinds of scars that he has to cover up with tattoos, but he also treated Bryce really badly.
Yeah, look,
right?
I see that. I agree with all of it. Yeah, he is bad. I take that back. But like I also see him as like he's a king. I expect him to be a bit self-centered and stuff. And what he wanted Bryce, for example, to marry Cormac, it was for the good of the people. And Bryce is the one that's like selfishly, no, I don't want that because I'm not in love with Cormac. So I don't see that as bad. And whatever is happening now, like the fact that he hasn't brought her over to the Asteri yet and all of that, like I don't know. I feel like there's more to him. We've only ever seen a very, I don't want to say tainted, but one-sided perspective on the Autumn King, which is Bryce. So I feel like there's more to it.
Well, it's not just Bryce, it's also Ruhn, and it's also his ex, which is Bryce's mom, right?
Yeah.
he hit her. That's why she left, right?
Yeah.
Remember
Then
that.
Yeah.
look at Ruhn. Ruhn's mother. He picked her and he had a baby with her, and then just he doesn't check up on her. So Ruhn's mother is just completely ignored by the
Yeah, but
king.
that a king would do that. I'm not mad about it. Like,
She seems to be fine, but he has this attitude. He's always like, "Well, I'm king," and that's his excuse for doing whatever the heck he wants. And it's not okay that he was making Bryce marry somebody that she doesn't want to marry. That's not okay.
that's not okay maybe for normal people, but when you're royalty, it's expected of you. And we've seen it all throughout history. There is no denying that. But I have a point I want to make, but it goes into other series. So maybe we leave that till the end.
But having said all of that about the Autumn King, though, I do want him to redeem himself. I hope that he will and
Mhm.
show a part of himself that he hasn't shown yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything interesting about this storyline so far with Bryce being with her father?
Well, it's the first time that they're actually together, right? Not just for a meeting or running into each other, but for an extended period of time. I feel like we're going to learn more about him. I feel like we already have. The fact that he hasn't sent her to the Asteri, right? Like, that's why I'm saying there's more to the Autumn King. We've only seen a very one sided perspective. So I'm open.
First of all, I should say that I I think it's almost a delaying tactic that the writer is using, keeping her there, just delaying the
Mm.
story or her entrance into the story. So, okay, I understand that. I get impatient whenever I read that particular part of the story that she's just stuck there, unable to get out. So that's something that is stressful for me as a reader. The other thing is that while she's there, she wants more information, and he's talking about where the information is, and that's on the other side. So the Avalon Fae apparently have the libraries where the information that Bryce is looking for is stored. Now Bryce is not able to go and get it on her own because women are not allowed apparently over there. Perhaps the king could invite the Autumn King to go over there and look at some of the texts. I don't know. And all of it is because of what you wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah, because another interesting thing that we learned, because Bryce's father reiterates what the Asteri said, the one that came out of the vessel coffin, that Bryce has no idea like how to use these two tools. And one thing that was interesting is that Bryce's father says that the star sword makes and the knife unmakes. I don't know. Did that mean anything to you? Because I'm a slow reader. Did anything pop out to you
No,
from
that's
that
exactly it.
explanation?
But what we don't, nobody seems to know what they're supposed to do. So that's what they want to find out from the texts that are in the Avalon
Library.
land.
Yeah, and Bryce's father won't even touch the two weapons. It's just laying there exactly where Bryce left it.
Mhm. It must be big, like, but what can it be? Like, I'm just trying to guess. Is it that like put their power through the sword? Like, but I think that's what she did already. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
because
it's
Bryce, in the last few chapters, Bryce used both on the Asteri, and it didn't do anything. And that's
yeah,
when Vesperus was like, "You fool! You know nothing of how to use these
yeah,
tools."
yeah.
That's something to find out. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if we can shift gears to Lydia. In a high stakes breakout, Lydia risks everything to free Hunt, Ruhn, and Faction. Her plan succeeds, but Mordok and some others are trailing behind. There's just so much to talk about. The first thing that comes to my mind is Lydia's goodbye to Ruhn. That was so sweet. Like I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
So sweet. And so many things were said. Okay, first of all, Hunt, it was in Hunt's perspective, I think, because he says, people rarely see her turn into the hind form, which I was like, why? That was loaded in itself. When she's in hind form and Ruhn is like hanging between Hunt and Faction, she like nuzzles in his neck.
Oh, yeah, that was cute. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so cute. And he still like doesn't want to look at her.
No, he didn't want to look at her.
Well, like when they were driving in the car, even when he passed the radio to him so he could speak to his cadre, he didn't even want to like touch her.
But I think it was more out of shame, not out of like disgust.
Who knows? I don't know.
I
But
don't
like,
know. He seems completely conflicted. I mean, one side of him is really like protective of Lydia and wants her to be okay, and the other side doesn't want to look at her.
yeah, it's just shun.
It was out of
Shame?
shame this time. Yeah, I think it was different.
You think?
Yeah,
I think you're
I
being
think so.
hopeful.
If somebody like think about it a little bit, like if somebody that you love or like they haven't even told each other they love each other, they haven't really even spoken in person, right? They've only done it through their minds and they've developed this connection. But if it's somebody like, let's say you're courting or something and they see you handless, covered in your own filth, just like I wouldn't want them to see me either. I'd be like, oh my god, like I'm supposed to be in Ruhn's mind. He's supposed to be powerful and a prince and the man and this, and he's the dirt beneath their feet.
You think that Ruhn feels shame because of like an ego thing, not because of all the work that Lidia has gone through and how poorly he's treated her? It's more about, oh, I'm covered in dirt.
Look, it's been a little bit since I read them. It was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
But I think part of it has to do with the state in which he's in. Like, he's in a deplorable state. And then, secondly, no, I don't think you think that Ruhn is like, oh, I'm ashamed that you're helping me. That's why I can't look at you.
No, I'm just surprised that you think that Ruhn's reaction to Lidia is shame because of the way he looks.
Not just how he looks, but the whole situation, right? Like how I don't know.
Well, Ruhn starts to redeem himself in forcing Therion to go and fetch
Look,
whatever
let's
he can.
park Ruhn. Let's park Ruhn and let's talk about Lidia. Okay? Because I do feel like she needs her moment of glory and she deserves it right now. So the goodbye was like that pulled at the heartstrings. That was beautiful. It really was. But can I say something? I think it's such a cop out. Again, from SJM, not actually unaliving Lidia.
But we don't know.
Please!
Not yet.
Please!
Not yet.
Are you kidding me? She jumped off of a cliff into the water. Therion brought her
No.
into a boat and she's in a hospital. She's not going to make it?
No, I have to say that I would have thrown the book across the room if that was it. I would have been so pissed off. No, I'm glad she kept her. She's one of the strongest female characters I've seen, and I love her.
But it was such an improbable situation, is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like
They're fake.
it was written, it was getting to that point, that climax of like something big's gonna happen. And the big thing is that she's no longer with us, but SJM can't do it. She can't do it.
No.
Okay, I understand that Lidia was just like running after Mordok and the other wolves.
Away.
For her life.
Running away.
Yeah, she was running away and then jumps off the cliff and then Therion gets her, right? But the thing is that when Therion gets her and Lydia's in the infirmary, Ruhn says, no, don't give me the whatever magic healing potion. Give all of it to Lidia. Like, yeah. So that's one, I feel like that's
redemption. Yeah, he's redeeming himself. Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I don't think it's a cop out. I don't know.
What's a cop? You don't think it's a cop out that she's alive?
No. Well, okay, but we don't know if she's alive yet. I've only read up to chapter 38.
If she made it off that cliff, she's alive. She's still with us. We're not going to see Lidia come to her end at an infirmary and be like, she didn't make it. No, that's not happening. It would have ended in the epic way that it should have, but it didn't.
But, okay, maybe this is not worth talking about, but what if it does end in the infirmary and they have like a final touching moment where they finally admit and then they realize they're mates and then she's dead? Like, how dramatic.
Oh my God, no way. I would throw the book.
Horrible. That would be horrible.
I would flush that toilet with the book. No, that can't happen. But there is that part where Ruhn is sitting by Lydia's bed and Lidia is like in critical condition. And even then, he's like, why am I feeling this way?
He's so stupid.
He's drugged out of his mind so much that he can't come to reality even after.
I can't remember that detail.
You know why you don't remember it? Because you didn't like it, and you were like, I'm not going to remember this because that's not real.
No, that's not how I am. I remember it, but I don't remember this. You're telling me that he was by the bed and he's like wanting to go to her, but not. What's happening?
Look, I remember Ruhn being in his own bed, not wanting
Yeah.
to look at her side, but still saying, no, don't give me the magic healing potion for my hand. Give it all to Lidia.
Why do you guys automatically think that's probably why I don't remember it? Because when I read it, I didn't see it as something horrible, like how dare he not be able to look at her? He's still acting this way. I saw it more as like it's so painful to see somebody that you love in that condition. I can't even look.
I guess there's just a multitude of ways you can interpret what was written.
Yeah. Okay. So here's this part. Ruhn couldn't stop seeing it, how Lidia had looked when Therion had hauled her onto the death charger. He'd never realized how much smaller she was than him, or what the world might be like without her living in it. A couple paragraphs later, he says, "The last thing I said to her was that she was dead to me." And then Flynn blew out a breath. "I'm sure she knew you didn't mean it." "I did mean it," he says. "I did mean it. She did all this to save me anyway," he said, ignoring Flynn's unspoken request to fill him in. The guilt of it would eat him alive. She'd
Yeah.
done horrible things as the Hind, both before and after becoming Daybright, things he couldn't forget. Yet his head was spinning with it, the rage and guilt and that other thing.
What's the other thing?
What's
Is
the
it
other
love?
thing?
Flynn squeezed his shoulder. "Go to sleep, Ruhn. I've got your girl." Here it is. She wasn't his girl. She wasn't anything to him. Yet he still ignored Flynn. Flynn said, "Stubborn asshole." That's what he said.
See? Okay, look, even his friends are calling him out. His
He
friends
is
are on our
stubborn.
side. He's
It's
stupid.
amazing how we can read the same thing and think so differently of it. It's amazing.
What good did you just see in that?
Characters are flawed. We know Ruhn is a stubborn person. But the thing is, I don't see him saying, I did mean it, that I hate her, as something true. Because I say things I don't mean all the time. And then people will be like, you don't mean that. And I'll be like, I do. Like, I relate.
So
I
you're
relate.
also
Okay?
a stubborn asshole.
Maybe I am. That's why I relate to it. And I'm sure my husband would too. And then, secondly, when he goes, she's not my girl, right? I understand where he's coming from. It's not the fact that he's rejecting her and being like, no, she's not my girl. He doesn't feel worthy of calling himself,
No,
of having that title.
no, I don't
100%,
think
that's
so.
what it is. I'm telling you, we're going to keep
Absolutely
reading
not.
and you'll see. 100%, that's what it is. 100%.
Absolutely not. No, he's
You
he's
guys have
being
such a
he's
bad
just
view of
being
Ruhn, so everything that's said is taken in a bad context. But
That's
I'm
completely the
telling you,
opposite of you. You have such a wonderful feeling towards Ruhn that everything he says is flowers flowing out of his mouth.
yeah, but I don't think SJM would have made Ruhn related to Reese if Ruhn wasn't a redeemable character. Mic drop, that's it. Goodbye. Thank you.
So characters can't have evil twins?
Why is he
I don't.
evil to
Yeah, no, I
you?
don't think. I
Why
don't think
is
he's
he
evil.
evil?
He's just a child. That's all. He still doesn't understand what he's feeling.
I'm just being dramatic when I say evil. I don't actually mean evil.
And when he says that other thing, it's because he is refusing to acknowledge that there's a bond between them. Love, call it whatever you want.
You guys have said in the past that that was unredeemable. What Ruhn
No.
has done.
What
I'll pull
I
up the clip.
said, I will pull up the clip. Word for word said borderline unforgivable. That is
Yeah,
what I
that's
said.
what it was. Yeah, that's
Yeah. What I differ from my mom is that Ruhn, to me, to be a redeemable character, has to do something so big to Lydia, right? Like in professing his love or whatever. Like it has to be a big thing.
That's big. Professing someone's love is big. That should be normal.
I said in professing Ruhn's love, it has to be something so big and so profound that I go, okay, you know what? We're good now.
I don't know. Whatever. I'm not gonna get anywhere here. So
I'm just waiting for him to grow up. I'm fine with him as long as he grows up.
Okay, so every time we talk about Ruhn, or Lidia, it just goes on forever. But if we can shift gears to Ithan. So, haunted by his choices and Sigrid's death, Ithan enters House of Flame and Shadow, seeking a necromancer, only to end up working for Jesiba instead. Why do we think he's looking for a necromancer? I have no idea. Like, I just don't get
the
it.
answer to everything. Anytime he's like, I need a necromancer. He needs to have somebody on call. I swear to God. Poor Ithan has suffered so much loss. I'm still reeling over the fact that Sigrid was hacked off. We just spoke about it. Like, Ashram doesn't usually hack anybody off. But here she did it to Sigrid, which I thought was endgame for... We all thought was endgame. Or no, you guys didn't think. Yeah, I thought it was the endgame for poor Ithan. Now he still has to pine over Bryce. Oh, I'm so sad for him.
Yeah, the poor guy's been like riddled with losing his loved ones to death or other people.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why he wants to find a necromancer, what exactly he's seeking. Maybe he just needs closure. Maybe he needs to like apologize to Sigrid.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but he can't continue life without doing that first. So it shows how deep the character is. He's got a lot going on inside, which brings us to Jesiba. Now, this is what I've been thinking. Bryce has been working for Jesiba for years. Ever since graduation, she's been working for Jesiba. And not once has Jesiba opened in any way to her about who she is, what she's about, all that. And then within a day or two, Ithan gets Jesiba to just like open up everything and
What are you
tell.
hinting at?
No, I'm thinking about how Jesiba doesn't trust Bryce, but sees something in Ithan that has her open up. She's never opened up. She's never said who she is, where she comes from, what kind of power she has. She spills everything. And I think it's
Yes, she
because
does.
Bryce is kind of unstable in a way. You know, you
Reckless.
can't really.
Bryce is reckless, whereas Ithan is more trustworthy.
Bryce is absolutely reckless. So Jessica's not going to trust her with any of that information. But Ithan, within a day, she understands him. She knows that he is a strong, silent character. I think it's significant.
Yeah, I don't know about Jesiba. Like, I think it's so interesting. She's human. Jesiba, incredible. She's human. Point, period.
Or she was human.
She still is. Like, that was her origin, right? But then, whatever she's become, she said, yeah, call me what you want. I'm a witch. I'm a this.
Sorceress.
I'm a sorceress. They're names that have been given to her because of what's been done to her, but she was human.
And she has learned witchcraft in a way.
Yeah, not only is she human, you know what? This kind of reminded me of Akatar. What's Nesta's book called? Because remember how she goes to the library and then there's all of the librarians who are these women who live there. And what's the name of that?
That's what I was just thinking of. You know, Clotho and Gwyn. Like, they're all the. I don't know what they call them.
She was a priestess. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
priestess.
Yeah.
So it was very similar. I was like, more crossover maybe?
She kind of reveals what her role is in all of this. It's only protector of knowledge.
You think that Jesiba thinks Ithan is very trustworthy. I just don't understand why in that chapter where so much is revealed about Jesiba that we got that. I don't understand the point. Clearly, it's important to the plot of this book, which is why we've been kept in the dark for the past two books. But I just don't understand. And now Ithan is working for Jesiba. It's just I don't get what's going on. I don't understand.
You know, it is our first reading, and we know what's happening kind of in different places. Like, for example, with Bryce and the Autumn King, they're looking for information, right? And which they think is going to come from the Avalan library. But maybe information that they're looking for is with Jesiba because she has those books. And Ithan is now right in the middle of it and forming a bond with Jesiba. And Ithan is now a tool connecting the information to Bryce and the gang. People have to come together from all kinds of directions. Yeah, all kinds of directions to be able to get rid of the Asteri.
Okay, so I have something. I'm not sure if it's like picked up on or not. Here it is. Here's our big spoiler warning or warning about the other series. So something I want to point out is the Autumn King. So the Autumn King, right? Like I think SJM has this point of making all fathers bad, right? Like no father that we've read of has been good, right? But let's remember the king in Throne of Glass. He was probably the most evil of all of them, but he wasn't evil at all, right? Dorian. It was King Dorian. So let's give the Autumn King the benefit of the doubt. That's where I'm coming from. It's like, I know he's done horrible things and whatnot, and I'm not saying he's going to be redeemable, but I feel like SJM has this like tool that she really uses parentage in some way, right? So let's see what happens.
And she's redeemed a few parents over
She has.
the books,
Yeah.
SJM universe. So
With that, we'll leave you with that thought, listeners. Do you also think the Autumn King is redeemable? We shall see. Court is now adjourned.